The Flogcast may occasionally contain explicit content that makes it not safe for work or for minors. It also doesn't provide an excuse to use the same words on Bay 13. Normal big footy rules still apply. So this is the Flogcast for round 3. Fyfie joined by Ant.
How do you do?
Teach.
Hello.
And because they carried the entire football world on their backs on Friday night and won, we've got 2 representatives from Hawthorn for Hawthorn Circle Jerk. We have NetworkNerd.
Hi, guys.
And we have Penal.
Hi there.
Hi there.
All right. I think considering there were some real stinkers of games, we'll start with one of the better ones, which was Essendon versus Hawthorn. Hawthorn had injuries, yet they still found a way to win.
Yeah, well, that was a really game of two halves. I mean, Hawthorn came out blocks hard, and you always felt that Essendon, even though they were sort of down by 30 points at half time, there were still periods where they looked dangerous, and definitely in that third quarter they came out, got their shit together, and took the lead, and it looked like they had the game, but you could always sense it was going to be one last burst from Hawthorn, and the most overrated player of all time, Cyril, he actually delivered for once, which is good, and hopefully he does it on a bit more consistent basis, but having something like 5-6 best 22 players out.
Network, I thought that they were going to get you. I was sitting there grinding my teeth thinking, don't let these fuckers beat the Hawks.
What kind of Geelong supporter are you?
Well, surely deep down you wanted Hawthorn to lose, surely.
Jesus, I mean, can't we all be united on the fact that we fucking hate Essendon? Seriously.
We can, you can't. You Geelong people, you have to toe the party line.
You can't leave us out of this party. That's not fair.
Chappy. What about Chappy?
The game day thread was full of Geelong supporters wanting Essendon to win.
Well, Jesus Christ. I mean, here I am sitting here, and before the game, I've pumped up the Hawks tyres, and all of the Hawks supporters were very supportive of my posts, and you're coming down to me like a rain of fucking nails, saying, well, hey, you can't barrack for the Hawthorn. Of course I can barrack for Hawthorn. Essendon are a bunch of fucking assholes, so I just want them to be beaten, and it happened.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We just sort of wish your attitude extended to other Cats fans.
Yeah, we need one of those Uber flogs really hate Hawthorn. Who hates Hawthorn?
There's a lot of them. Basically everyone but Teach, okay. I think.
Pretty much, yeah. It was mentioned that Hawthorn had a lot of injuries, but I don't think the Jamestown guys would be too happy if we don't mention the fact that Essendon had lots of great players out, like Melksham, who is easily as good as Sam Mitchell.
Is that what they said?
Yep.
Was that Ryan's, was it? Who basically pretends to be an insider, but she's really their Suze, knows fuck all about the area.
I'm still can't get over if someone thinks Melksham is better than all the same as Mitchell. I don't even know what
Mate,
Melksham
we're
looks
talking
like. Is
about
that
fucking Essendon
vanilla?
supporters.
That's the Kool-Aid talking.
How ridiculous is that?
They think Dempsey is better than Lake.
Man, I'd be spitting my strawberry milk here on that. Really?
Despite the fact that there was all those injuries, the Scummers actually nearly got Hawthorn. So, yeah, that's a good thing because it's better to beat them by a kick than it is to beat them by 10 goals because they go home pissing and crying in their milk, and that's what we want.
But NetworkNerd did mention it before that Surioli, the most overrated player of all time, played a pretty solid, maybe three-quarter game. Hawthorn really only played 3 quarters. They went to sleep in the third, but he was their best player and the most effective one on the ground. And he won them the game, credit where it's due. He was everywhere.
Yeah, come on. I heard Jordan Lewis took the stage.
Yeah, he didn't really contribute to the scoreboard that much, but he may bring Hawthorn their first Oscar for his performance in,
Diving Miss
Well,
Daisy.
it may not look like much on TV, but because Goddard's so pumped up on those peptides, just that one little touch, that's why he went flying. So look,
Goddard does take the angry pills too.
yeah, I see. He had the angry pills when he was at St Kilda, and now after a year or two of peptides in him, he's that little touches like a Street Fighter Hadouken Richmond, so surprised Jordan Lewis didn't go flying.
Doesn't Goddard want Bomber Thompson to stay?
He does.
But he
Yes.
wants Hurd to come back as well. That's the thing. He wants Hurd and Thompson to be reunited.
Goddard's too new. He doesn't have the chip inserted in his head yet, so that's why he can think for himself a bit, yeah.
Speaking of Bomber, he was angry in the box. I think he's been on the roid rage too at Essendon, considering he was pretty calm in the Geelong box at the best of times, but he was losing his shit.
He just used to eat sandwiches
Yeah.
in the Geelong box.
Now he would have thrown it.
He used to get pretty angry in the press conferences. I mean, all of you. But yeah, he's been a bit quirky of late, hasn't he? Even his own press interviews. So
Yeah, he's been as interesting as Malthouse in some of his press interviews, which I guess, if we've got nothing else on Essendon Hawthorn, we'll go to the Thursday game, which I guess the most interesting parts about it were the game was an ordinary spectacle and Richmond did everything to lose it again. Seems to be Carlton is the fucking bugbear, but there were some other interesting things, and I guess we'll start with Jared Waite.
What was
Yeah,
he doing? So he had a fake boot to his face? Is that it?
So basically, he got kicked in the leg, and then he did like a soccer player and held his jaw like he'd been whacked.
King kicked him in the chest, and then
It was a total fresh air. It was just...
No,
it was
he-
like-
I know he made contact, but
he got fined for it too, Jake King. But Waite got a reprimand for, putting his hand to his mouth when, the boot didn't even have the potential to hit him in the mouth. And this is Jared Waite, the same guy who 2 years ago kicked Luke McGuan in the balls.
Well, I actually heard Jared Waite was upset because he actually wanted a week off to try for a new Jackie Chan film, but that didn't happen. So he's got to play this week, and who have they got? The Bummers? Oh well.
what was
Maybe-
the
maybe
film going to be
next week.
called, man?
I don't know.
Potential in the Bronx?
Could be called Big Trouble in Lygon Street.
Potential trouble in Lygon Street. Come on.
Potential trouble in Lygon Street.
But yeah, it was a pretty ordinary game. Was that everyone's opinion on it?
Yeah, so
Skill-wise,
Richmond
yeah.
tried to snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory, didn't they?
Not enough's been made of just how absolutely shit Carlton were going forward.
Yeah, it was one of those games. The only positive I take out of that is that all the other ones Richmond have held on by Carlton running out of time or Carlton have overrun us. This time they actually leveled the scores and the light went on upstairs with the Richmond players. Oh shit, you're going to have to work for this one, and managed to get the last two.
I watched the full game because I tipped Richmond. I was actually sitting there a pseudo Richmond supporter, and your team put me through fucking hell.
How do you think I felt?
And I'm like going, oh, Jesus Christ, can you not transition the ball cleanly and effectively? It took me back to about 2003 when Geelong was shit.
So
And,
basically, you're telling me you microwaved your membership there, Teach.
well, if I had one, I would have done it. But at least they got up because I needed it for my tips.
That's the sort of game that if you're a Richmond fan, you just kind of move on and take the win,
Yep.
be happy with the win, and never speak of it again.
It's good to win ugly sometimes. All I can say is thank fuck for Robert Warnock.
Is Warnock the slowest player in the AFL? He is slow as treacle, that man.
Doesn't have a lot going for him, does he? He kicked it 90 degrees off the side of his boot. Then he hits Ty Vickery in the goal square, trying to clear the kick.
He made Chai Vickery look good. Well, that just says everything, doesn't it?
Carlton made him look good. He kicked 4 goals. But the other thing about Warnock, I think Mick's got a bit of forethought here. Is it time for him to bring in Cameron Wood?
Oh, well, I mean, you can't get worse than Warnock, can you? So you've got to roll the dice. But Mick Mulshake, he's coaching like he doesn't have a clue right now.
A couple of other things, I guess, worth mentioning is Petted calling Yaron a squib was quite amusing after he head ducked and got a free kick. It's not often you see that called out publicly. And Brock McLean sulking when he got subbed.
It's Yaron all over again, wasn't it, from last year? And I wonder if he'll play next week. If Mick's consistent, he won't be playing.
He's like a busted-out taxi with a busted axle at the back.
Well-
He's gone. He's 1 year too long. So,
Who, Brock
you know,
McLean?
and he's got a bit of an angry streak as well.
But he's not that old, though.
He's not old, no.
Yeah, be slow.
Yeah, but he looks shit.
And he's shit.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
yes.
he's ex-Melbourne. What do you expect?
He's a product of the Melbourne development system. You wouldn't wish that on anyone.
What position on the ladder is Richmond, Fyfie?
9th, and on the AFL website, that comes with an asterisk.
Really?
Yes, it did. Yes. For some reason,
Someone's
there
forgot
was
to
an
take it
asterisk.
away from Essendon last year where they had the asterisk there. So whoever's in 9th spot is currently an asterisk, which one smart mind on the Bay has listed to denote the fact that that is the team that will make the 8 when Essendon get booted again.
I went on my phone and it's actually the top 9 is shaded one colour and the bottom 9 is shaded another colour. So that probably means that if you're in the top 9, or if you're 9th, you'll make the finals. So maybe it's a conspiracy theory that Essendon, they're gone. So who knows?
We'll keep our eyes on that. Yeah, but moving on from what Network Nerd said about the 9th place thing is that, look, I'm pretty confident. I just have this little feeling that in 22 weeks we'll have won enough games to go past that top 8 superpower St Kilda, who will come to next, who, well, the streak is 2 games long now.
I thought it was a pretty good
Well,
game. I mean, it was
it's
high
actually
scoring.
4. It's actually 4 games in a row. 'Cause won the last 2 games of last year, so actually
Well, don't give Plugger more information. Bloody hell.
Oh,
That's the last thing we
Jesus.
need.
Don't pump his tyres up, Jesus.
Yeah,
That's
they're
under
on
the second DVD now.
You can only play who you're up against, and they have to win, and they did.
Their banner was talking up a streak. They rhymed week with streak, and so the lid is off. The streak is back.
Well, really,
Yep.
it's the second week in a row that Nick Rewald has won the game for them single-handedly.
It basically is. He was fantastic.
He can't be doing this week in, week out. So who have they got next week?
West Coast over in Perth.
Oh, dear.
And they're going to have the umpires against them.
Yeah, Plugger will be able to go to a game.
Look, they'll get the moral victory. But, I mean, GWS are always going to be up and down as they play at home and away. And, you know, they beat Melbourne in the first week. So look what happened to them this week. So,
And GWS probably should have beaten them too.
Yeah, GWS missed a few
probably.
sitters, but yeah.
Before Revolt went nuts in the third, they had them.
Yeah, but it was an enjoyable game to watch. There was a lot of goals.
Probably one of the best 3 or 4 of the round, which isn't saying much, but still. One other thing out of that game came from the umpiring in the last quarter. GWS ended up with 19 on the field because the umpire paid an out of bounds on the full. The GWS player was interchanging at the time. It was near the interchange bench. He said he was the closest. His teammates already run on. There's no one else around the bench. So the umpire made him come back in, kick the ball, and the guy forgot to come off. And they had it for about 10 seconds there. So
did St Kilda get a free kick and a 50-minute penalty or not?
it went unnoticed.
Isn't the
don't tell
rules that
Plugger.
isn't the rules that the
Don't tell
opposition captain
Plugger.
isn't the rules that the opposition captain has to tell the umpire at the time to do a head count, and if there's more than 18 on the field, their score gets reset to 0.
They changed that so Sydney didn't lose a game a few years ago. That's why they brought in the free kick one.
Fucking cola cunts.
It was just funny. Just imagine if that went missed and the Giants got up, because that was probably about 2 minutes from the end when GWS were having their last roll of the dice.
Well, there you go. I didn't know that one.
Thanks, Fyfie, for bringing that up.
We'll never hear the end of it now.
No, you've been beaten by St Kilda thread. That's going to get bumped, and Boulder and Plugger are just going to go ape shit.
Plugger goes ape shit anyway.
win, lose, draw, he goes ape shit.
I think losing Plugger is less angry than winning Plugger.
He is.
Winning Plugger doesn't know what
He
to
is.
say.
Winning Plugger he just goes off tap.
Anyway, moving on to...
Watch the showdown.
Yeah, who did watch the showdown? I watched the showdown.
I watched bits of the showdown.
Yeah, I watched bits of the showdown and I listened to the rest of it on the radio.
Really, it was at a barbecue, so I had it was on in the background. But Port Adelaide just were a class above. So
They look scary good.
They are good. They are very, very
But they look like Sydney seems to have opened up a top 4 spot for someone to slot into. Geelong might too by the time the year's out. Port Adelaide looked probably the best candidate to steal that.
Ollie
think so.
Wines again showing Melbourne what idiots they are. He played a great game.
Oh.
Jared Polek too for Brisbane.
Oh, Polak, he was a star. I mean, where's Paddles? I've never seen him
I
with that
know.
much heart and endeavour.
Paddles is in a dark corner somewhere, clutching his knees, going, "It didn't happen. It didn't happen. It didn't happen." Because all of the great players that left the Bryans, and Pollock, geez, playing great football. Wines, Wingard.
Mardo's favourite wingard, didn't he turn up on a showdown again?
He
He
is a
played well.
gun. He's a gun. And, they're a massive chance.
They're all over him though. And speaking of players who played well, there were some who didn't play well, and Dangerfield had an absolute stinker. He
Yeah.
could not do a thing right all game, but Port were just all over them in every way. Like the Crows got in front, which seemed out of nowhere, and then Port just went, "Oh, okay,
Let's just switch a gear. Yeah.
yeah, bang."
Even the pariah Butcher did well.
As long as he wasn't kicking.
I
He
wouldn't
looked
say
more
did
like the
well.
Messiah with that big freaking beard than.
No, I said pariah.
I know. I'm just playing on words.
Yeah. As long as he doesn't kick. If he just gets it in hand passes, he can do well.
Another thing from that game was that Port Adelaide had 35,000 teal shirts on the seats. Free shirts for the fans because, you know, they have to clothe the fans, but
Are they all
So
homeless?
that's
maybe.
well, that's 12,000 Port supporters. What did the rest of the Crow supporters wear? They were used as a snot rag or something.
What was it made out of? The bay covers? Or I heard a rumour, is that true?
Probably old bay covers, it's probably plastic. But no, I just thought that was interesting. Like Port Adelaide a few years ago probably couldn't afford 35 shirts. Now they're giving out 35,000. It's quite a turn.
Koshi's probably like revolutionized that club with his finance investments. And,
Yeah.
now they're swimming in money.
And they're both self-owned now too. They've got a hold of their licenses. The Crows one cost 38% more than the Port one, which,
But they're the team for all of South Australia. Of course, it's going to cost more.
yeah. But now they're owned. Does that make them still franchises?
Is it member?
Well, I don't know,
Who's
but
it owned by?
They're member-owned now.
So members,
Well, I mean,
members can vote.
Yeah, the members can vote. They're just like a real club.
Well, then
Well,
again, they're
even
no
in-
longer franchises. So it's just XYZ Corp and
Well, even if they're not franchises and they're member owned, Do any of us think any better of them anyway? I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, they're still in Adelaide.
Only Port.
yeah.
Crows can get fucked.
Well, the Crows still exist to sell Camrys, so
Well, the Port have got their 1996 established on their jumper, so they got that much.
Is it established 1996 or is it 2014 for these clubs?
yeah, well, just another blurry year in the timeline of name changes.
Let's just put an asterisk against their names on the ladder as well, shall we?
Yeah, all of a sudden the Bulldogs looking a chance.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Is that everything on the showdown?
Yeah.
Did you guys
Good to
hear
see the
about
ground as well, so...
Yeah, the ground looked great.
That shithole Adelaide doesn't deserve a stadium like that.
Well, the Waffle needs to get their hands out of their asses and actually cough up and put some money into a stadium in Western Australia there, because you guys are just struggling.
Perth doesn't deserve a good stadium either, these fucking bogan fans. Wow.
well, I think the good thing about the Adelaide Oval is the fact that if we ever go over there to watch the footy, we don't have to go out into that fucking shit wasteland, West Lakes, watch footy.
Because it's near the CBD, isn't it?
You can stay in the city
See a couple of churches, go to the footy, then
Rundle
get
Mall.
the fuck out of there.
churches.
Sweet left foot likes this. But yeah, moving on. Richmond Carlton was only the worst game of the round for 3 days, I think, because Sydney Collingwood was an absolute stinker.
Yeah, it was rubbish.
I liked it because Sydney lost.
Except for one player, and that was Pendlebury. He was like Baryshnikov. He was a ballet dancer, just carving his way through the pack. I mean, did he actually completely stink and no one wanted to go near him because he just dominated that game like no one. And that was the difference in the end. He just carved them up.
And you know what else sums up that game is that Nick Maxwell was pretty close to the best on ground as well. And if he's close to best on ground, you know the standard wasn't high.
Yes,
So how
yes.
did,
How many super coach points did he get?
Over 100.
Surely the fact that Maxwell had so many disposals had something to do with Sydney's delivery inside 50 because they just kept kicking it to the grass and sure enough, the grass's man was right there.
Exactly. 110 super coach points for Maxwell.
And you know what he would have done? He would have gone home, put his glove on the shelf and went, see, we do belong in the team, don't we, glove?
Watching that match, after watching Buddy for so many years, cheering him on, was almost like didn't want him to get any possessions just for material on the bay. I mean, look, you want to see him get some sort of success, but...
What kind of Hawthorn supporter are you?
I'd love to see him win a wooden spoon.
I think most people kind of want to see him fail up there.
At least for now, anyway, while the material's coming out, and at some point we do want to see Buddy kick a bag just for the entertainment, but at least for the first period of time, I think it's more value him not getting any success. So.
Nah, fuck that. I want him to fail.
Yeah.
All right, we want him to fail.
Another thing I noticed that was amusing was after he kicked that goal, he got the hand pass from Parker. He kicked it outside of 50. Video footage of him is he's running to the left to celebrate. Parker's trailing behind him, wanting his high five, as you do when someone dishes off a gimme to you of sorts. And he doesn't turn around. He runs over to the other Sydney players, which it was small, but just didn't acknowledge, which most players do. You turn to the goal assist guy.
Club in crisis.
Well, what happens to them this week if they lose to Adelaide, which is a big possibility?
I think we'll come to that, but I'm thinking season is in real jeopardy. Anything else on Sydney Collingwood?
No, it was a disappointing crowd. So normally they get a good crowd to Sydney Collingwood up at...
Pretty crap venue though, isn't it? Doesn't look anything like Adelaide Oval.
Worst surface in the AFL.
Oh, do we want to talk about Fremantle Gold Coast?
Oh, well, next then.
Nat Fyfe got suspended for a head clash, which he was a bit stiff for, but that was the only thing I heard about that game, and Fremantle won.
I watched that game because
Why?
I had a vested interest because
Gary Ablett.
on their $10 Bay 13 challenge, I bet on Fremantle to win by more than 40 points.
So you weren't angry this time.
Oh, yeah, it was getting tight there. But Freo pulled their finger out and gave them a bit of a smacking. And, well, the Gold Coast are good, but Freo are scary good. And I hope we don't play them anytime soon, especially over there, because they just grind teams down and they tear them apart.
You can't beat them at skilled either, so why does it matter?
Home and away we can,
You
just as long as it's not...
try and play them in fucking New Zealand or something, just sell games, because you lost to them at the MCG, you lost to them at Skilled, and you lost to them in Subi in 2012.
New Zealand's nicer than Geelong too.
Yeah, well, I mean,
That's
just
a given.
Just as long as it's not a final. If it's not a final, then we're going to be good things. But,
Well, you can't play Freo in a final, can't play Hawthorn in a final. Who can you play in a final? St Kilda.
well, everyone else. So that's all we need to do is dodge those two and we can win the premiership.
Moving on to another stinker of a game, though this was more because of the team that turned up to play. Eagles versus Melbourne.
Well, it's funny because I look at the West Coast board and they think they played shit. So they had a 90-point win and they played shit.
Melbourne had more disposals, more tackles.
Imagine if West Coast actually turned up to play.
Well, Jack Watts wouldn't have found himself uncontested where he could drop a chest mark.
It's a good thing that we don't have Jack off Watts on, because he would be dragging more bodies out into the garage to bury them, because he would be just very, very upset with how shit Melbourne were and just weren't they. All I needed to do was watch a 5 minutes highlight package and go, are you fucking serious?
Does this show that Ruse is not the Messiah?
Well, no one can fix that train wreck overnight.
But Ruse had Longmire as an assistant, didn't he, when he was up there coaching?
Yes.
Maybe the horse was the brains behind the whole exercise all along.
He didn't have him the whole time, though. I don't think he had him in 2005.
Wasn't Master Coach Lyon an assistant too?
There you go.
Sometimes it can take a lot to get a club right. It took us 8 years to get a premiership with Palmer Thompson, and we needed the best CEO in the business and the best president in the business. So Melbourne have got a good CEO now, and they've got a good president. Now they've got a good coach, expecting to do better this year.
They've only got him for 3 years, though.
Isn't it like 2 with an option of 3? And judging how things are going, I don't think he's going to take that option.
He might get the taste. And,
He might want another wing in his mansion, so yeah.
Well, yeah, of course.
The fact that he's a coach on the back of AFL-assisted money, that is just a sham.
We all
After
know.
they paid out their previous coach.
But it's an indictment on Melbourne.
Yeah, if West Coast supporters are whinging that they played badly and they got a 90-point win, I mean, it just shows what a rabble Melbourne are. So, the Brisbane Lions Geelong game, I didn't see much of it myself.
It was played in very adverse conditions because it was raining for most of the game and it was humid. The ball was like a cake of soap. So it all came down to who tackled the best. If you got tackled, could you get a hand pass away? And if you could to your teammates, then you could possibly move the ball forward better. And that's what happened. And Geelong were far superior tackling side and got the ball trapped inside their forward line. But it was just so hard to score and be accurate. Geelong had 10 more scoring shots and they probably should have won by more.
Yeah.
The umpiring was very, very ordinary. Brisbane got, I think, 15 more free kicks. All of the Brisbane free kicks were valid, but Geelong just didn't get a lot of the free kicks that should have
poor
gone their
Selwood.
way.
He ducked and he ducked and he ducked.
Geelong smashed him on the outside, though. When the ball got out of the contested area, like Teach said, with the handball, once Geelong got in space, they fucking murdered them. It was clinical. Like, there was that stage where they went from 10 points down to 8 points up in the space of 60 seconds of game time, just like that.
Yeah, and that's what we can do to club. So I was pretty pleased with the way that Geelong played. You've got to say that Brisbane were pretty good, and they've got some really good on ballers that can use the ball well, but they need space and better conditions to use it, and they didn't get that yesterday.
Brisbane, to me, are the sort of side that are good enough to compete on a regular basis, but they just don't have the class to consistently win against top sides, kind of like Carlton last year.
Carlton couldn't beat bottom sides. We beat them easily.
Yeah, we'll move on from that to Bulldogs Norf, which, well, Ant was there.
Yeah, I was there. My first game of the year. I thought the first half we packed down our scrum well. We locked the ball in. It was 2 tries all? On a serious note, I quite enjoyed that first half. It was a contested maul. I mean, there was a few poor shots at goal from both teams, but that was an intense pressure there.
It wasn't shots on goal, though. It wasn't poor shots on goal, because Bulldogs couldn't hit a target in the second quarter either.
That too. But I think Dalhouse missed 2 sitters and Stringer missed a sitter. But you're right. We'd get it to a forward line then butcher it. I thought our defence played well. Midfield did well. Up until, 10 minutes to go in the last quarter, and we just ran out of legs.
Grandpa Boomer. He had a huge last quarter.
The best thing about that last quarter was Lindsay fucking Thomas didn't get any cheapies out the back. We kept that piece of shit scoreless. I was happy with that.
Bit of anger there. Not happy with it.
It was amusing when he had that poor, was it Curry? It took him 7 years to get a game of football, and he was about to have his first shot on goal, and that piece of shit just ruins it for him.
Thomas gives away the free kick and reverses it. It was an easy shot. Curry got his goal, though, with second kick, though. It wasn't his first kick.
Where's all this North hating coming from?
Well, we didn't tip him for the flag, did we?
Just because we didn't tip him for the flag doesn't mean we have to love him.
Yeah, but you don't need to hate them either, for fuck's sake.
No one's hating on North. It's just the Bulldogs should have been probably 4 goals up at the half, and they didn't win.
Oh, we only got ourselves to blame. I mean,
You still need a forward line.
yeah, you're right. We need a forward to stand up. I mean, Liam
Big
Jones did well in the VFL, but he didn't do much at all this week.
Gotta say, Kramer is not looking like a great pickup at the moment.
He's a bit like, I guess, Buddy. He needs to learn how to play with the Dogs. So, I mean, he's kicked a couple of goals each time he's played. So
He'll be all right when if he's got someone else with him. He'll be better.
yeah, again, I guess our kids looked awesome. Jackson McRae. I mean, if you saw those couple of silky balks he did, then passed it to Johannesson, who sputtered it up, kind of ruined it. But I guess we're a very young side. But what it did show is North aren't there. I don't even see them finishing in the 8. That was shocking.
I got to agree. They needed Boomer to get him over the line. They needed Scott Thompson if they were good down back like the Dogs were. Fucking Atley might be able to run, but he can't do anything else. Zeeble, the two most hyped ones, Atley and Zeeble, did fuck all and were shit. And it was still Boomer. It was still Scott Thompson and the defenders.
Boomer was the difference. He had that bit of class. I mean, for us, I guess Ryan Griffin was, you could tell he was underdone. And also I heard that 8 of the Bulldogs players had gastro during the week, so they could also account for the way they dropped off. But no excuses.
Yeah, no excuses, plug.
No excuses. We lost. The roof was closed. We allowed North to play their song at the end.
Well, I'm not jumping off. I'm staying on the bandwagon and you can get fucked.
The sooner you jump off, the sooner we'll leave you alone.
North are going to come good, and you can all eat my shit when they do.
I reckon the best thing about this, I'm just reading on the AFL site, there's an article from Dal Santo, and he's basically saying he's keen for scoring power. Well, maybe he needs to grow one first.
He wasn't bad, actually. He didn't play too badly. His ball use was telling at times, even if he didn't get a lot of it. That reminds me, though, about Boomer playing well. Brad Scott apparently had a crack at the press for slamming Boomer during the week, saying he's not good enough. I read on TLC, someone did a search on Boomer Harvey getting slammed in the press this week, and apparently it didn't happen. So Brad's like the old man yelling at a cloud.
Maybe Sue's told him it.
Let's move on. There's a couple of other things to talk about. The umpiring standard did come up. Teach wasn't happy with it. Personally, I found it better these first 2 rounds. Wayne Campbell, Ant's friend's doing a decent job. Saw him at the game on Thursday night. Walked past him, but...
So he kind of went on the outside, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Felt like stopping him and having a sook about play-ons they were calling.
Oh, I know. He wouldn't want to make body contact, mate.
They were calling some shit play-ons on Thursday night. Both teams, where if a player just swiveled their hips after taking a mark or moved their upper body, even shaped a handball without moving their feet, the umpires were calling play-on, which shat me. But otherwise, they've been pretty good.
I've actually liked that they've been letting a lot go. So
It's been very inconsistent.
I know I was screaming ball a lot on Sunday. A player would drop an absolute sitter of a ball and they'd play on. But purely talking the Dogs North game, it was consistent in they were letting them go. I didn't notice an umpires in that game, so good on them.
No, I think they've been pretty good apart from holding the ball. They've been letting it go, but holding the ball needs a whistle a bit more.
Yeah, probably, you're right.
I think it was actually Bulldogs North, but they were blatant throws, not even underhanded flicks, but full-on fucking rugby throws in the middle of play that just got ignored. So they really need to look at that incorrect disposal holding the ball combination.
There was a couple of them I noticed as well, so yeah, you're right.
They've been a bit harsh on a couple of marks too. I saw Pods get absolutely one robbed of him in the showdown in the goal square about the first quarter. That summed up his day. He held on to it, it got knocked out and they didn't pay it. It's happened a few times in a few games, but that was one example. But otherwise, I feel they've been pretty good. Massive improvement on the Geishan era, and KB hates it.
I'd rather them let things go than be technical and over the top, so I'm happy with it. And if KB doesn't like it, that means I like it even more.
Yes, I agree with that. So Hawthorn took a big gamble on Garlett and he's chucked it in and gone back home to WA. Doesn't want to play.
As you said, it was a massive risk. Why he was overlooked, even though he was a potential top 10 2 years ago. Whose house was he staying at? Hodges? Apparently they had a relationship there. Hodge was teaching him how to grimace. You know, this is what happens when...
This is where you buy the best KFC in Melbourne.
Yeah, and he was getting him. He was coming along well, but yeah.
Even though they took the punt on him, at least he didn't drift there for 4 years and clog up their list. Whilst always being that potential guy, I guess you could say.
Or he was a top 4 pick, like a Tambling or something like that.
Yeah, like a Tambling.
Better that he goes now rather than in, say, a year or two, and if he's a bad influence, he doesn't sort of influence the other youngish players on the list, like a Brad Hill, Jed Anderson. He quite easily influence them as well. But look, if he wants to go, he can go. And
so there, you got rid of all your bad eggs. You got rid of Buddy now and Garlett.
That's a good note to move on from. To under 10s games now have changed, and they've removed the scoreboard from that game. Probably started by Paul Roos last week, saying Melbourne would do good without the scoreboard, and they thought, well, Melbourne's players are like 10-year-olds. Let's take the scoreboard away from 10-year-olds. So what do we think of that?
I don't like it. I remember playing under 10s as a kid. I mean, you won some, you lost some. It didn't make me feel any worse or better that the fact that we lost by 100 points or we won by 100 points. It was a competition. Without the scoring, you're kind of like, well, what am I here for? Am I just having to kick the kick?
Well, my son has played under 10s, under 12s, and this year he's playing under 14s. And they didn't keep the score in the under 10s, but believe me, every single kid on the ground and parent knew exactly what the score was. So these fucking bureaucrats, they got no fucking idea because they don't have kids. Because if you did, you'd know that your kids keep the score. It's all pointless.
I would advocate for this at the level it's at, as long as it doesn't go any higher, because you do happen to get the ugly parent syndrome where you get the absolute pricks who want to just win by 120 every week, and they generally keep kids on the bench if they're not good.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, I think that that's wrong. When you at that level, you shouldn't, just putting the best kid in the ruck or on balls. But taking away the score is not the right way to do it. There is better ways of doing that.
Mercy rule, like stop scoring at 10 goals, maybe?
I don't know. Oh, it's kind of like
It won't
when you
make
played
any
junior
difference.
cricket, you had to retire at 25.
Yeah, that's a good example. You had to retire, and then you could come back in if your team got 9 down.
In footy, I mean, the kids they know. The better junior teams, they let everyone have a go on the ground. They don't keep anyone on the bench. They rotate and they make sure that everyone gets a go, and they win and lose every week. So, yeah, we're up in the Essendon District Football League, and every team is like that. So, fine.
Do they get shots at half time instead of the oranges?
No, that's the Western.
Whatever it takes. Come on, whatever it takes.
Yeah. That's the Western Districts Football League, mate.
Different type of shots. That's the parents.
But yeah, on that, the AFL, if they were to bring any soft rules in like that, we'd come up with the top 5 rules that they might bring in that are soft, like removing the score from the scoreboard. So number 5 is no theme songs played after the game, which was obviously, it's come up before and it came from North Melbourne. Number 4, penal.
No balls so that Robbie Warnock doesn't have the opportunity to embarrass himself.
Number 3, NetworkNerd.
Yeah, getting your hands on the ball counts as a mark, so what doesn't feel so bad.
Number 2, teach.
The losing team needs to get less free kicks so they can have a moral victory, especially if they're wearing St Kilda colours.
Number 1, ant.
Pep talks to increase player performance opposed to peptides. That's pep talks, not peptides.
James Hurd dislikes this. And we'll move on to this week on the Bay, which, before we go on to our flog of the week and thread of the week, I didn't see it because I was watching the showdown, as we told everyone to do, but apparently Channel 7 nicked Moffra's financial analysis of Buddy Franklin thread.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, someone posted about it, so we're obliged to mention it.
Well, there you go. So, again, Bay 13 leading the way.
Yeah, first UGAC and the Demtel thing, but wait, there's more. Fox Footy did that. Channel 7 prefer Moffra, so we clearly know which media outlet prefers which Bay 13 poster. So we'll move on to flog of the week.
I went for Brisbane 13. Just all he does is post a pile of drivel and can't spell for shit. His grammar's shit, and all he does is post anti-Hawthorn. So that's my vote for the week.
Penal, you had one as well.
Yeah, I picked Bobby for the same reason as Network Nerd.
My nomination, was Vorney, the guy who started the thread saying James Hurd was bigger than Essendon. And judging by his posting, he believes it. So he's well and truly on the Kool-Aid.
That was an awesome. I thought he was taking the piss. And then someone else pointed out to me he was posting some nonsense earlier.
Just like Plugger and the umpires, you think he's taking the piss until you really look into it, and then you go, oh, he's not. So who do we have out of those 3? Did we have any more?
My vote's for Vorney.
I abstained because I haven't read any of those threads.
All right, flog of the week's Vorney with honourable mentions to Brisbane 13 and Bobby. Thread of the week was open.
I got to go for the tell a story with a picture thread just purely for the Adam Goods post.
Yep, I liked that for the Adam Goods post as well. That was fantastic work from Bayer.
Plugger had another meltdown.
Can we give it to
yes,
Plugger?
he didn't he?
He
got
St Kilda got over the line, and he let us all know. 2-0. Flogs, the mighty Saints are on the freaking march.
And you also had another nomination, didn't you?
Very late in the piece, me feeling very nostalgic. The origin of Bay 13 terms and phrases. There has been some quite amusing posts to be found within there, so I like that one as well.
Is that a resurrection thread?
No, it's basically an encyclopedia of all Bay 13 terms and phrases and memes, and why do we say flog? Why do Hawthorn's posters have a soggy biscuit? Why is Teach grumpy?
Yeah, so what do we reckon on that one?
I like Plugger's one.
I'm for the pictures thread.
Yeah, I'll go with the pictures thread.
I think it's the pictures thread with 3. Last week's poll, who should be Bay 13's number 1 whipping boy, which with hindsight maybe it's not the same because Jack did have a shit game on the weekend, but 25% said Jack Watts, 43% said Matthew Cruiser, and 32% said Jack Watt. Oh, so technically that's 57% for Jack Watts. But yeah, moving on to next week's games, the grand final rematch.
Where's this being played?
MCG.
MCG.
Let's hope it's better than the last one.
Ooh.
Does the Hawthorns still have their injuries? Or
Lake's still out.
he's not injured, he just smacks someone because he's an idiot.
Yeah, well, he won't be playing regardless. Lake's out. Showmakers won't be there.
Well, that's no loss.
Stratton's still out. Mitchell's 50-50, and Hodge is probably out.
Look, Fremantle favourites. They're good percentage. Won the first two games.
I think
all pressure's on them.
I think I'm going to have to go the purple poofs on this case.
I tried to start that thread saying that we can't even call them purple puffs anymore because if they're starting favourites against the reigning premiers, then you can't really call them purple puffs anymore. But look, the pressure's on them this week. I mean, Hawthorn, if we win, will be an ugly win, but Fremantle expected to win. And I think a lot of people will be picking Freo, so hopefully it's a good game. Hopefully we don't embarrass ourselves. But
you're playing the underdog card, Network, reigning premiers.
Yeah. Well, we're not favourites, so
no, they're not. They've got too many injuries.
Of course, Network. Of course, we can call them the purple puffs because that's their name. So we're going to fucking stick with that. And I'm going to have to go with the purple puffs in this case.
The Fyfe suspension throws an interesting spanner into the works, though.
So, well, that just means Fremantle's contested possession will be down and their kicking efficiency will be up.
They might kick 14-8 instead of 8-14 this time, so...
This game will determine the May Premier, I think. Whoever wins this will be on top after the first 10 weeks.
Well, as Grumpy Man told us last week, it doesn't matter who's on top early, it's who's there at the end.
Makes the run home easier, though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
What are you fucking talking about when you talk about Grumpy Man?
Paddles. Who do you think?
Better be fucking paddles.
Tips.
Whoops.
I'm going to go Hawthorn.
The other two, I guess, are picking Hawthorn.
Hawthorn by 1 point, yeah.
I'll go Hawthorn, under a kick, tough.
Yeah, I'm going Freo in a low-scoring game again that will not deserve to be on a Friday night. Richmond versus the Bulldogs. Richmond won ugly last week. Bulldogs lost ugly last week.
I think Richmond are too good. I just hope we don't get smashed. I'm talking your boys up there, Fyfie, so you better deliver.
What's the Tigers' record at Etihad like?
It's improved in recent times. We've won probably more there than we've lost in the last 3 years. That would be a rough guess.
The only thing I'm not looking forward to, because I'm going to be going to the game, is riding the train home with a bunch of Richmond supporters going, yellow and black, trying to sing their song.
If only you caught the same line as KFC, boy, that might be an interesting trip.
Actually, I think that the Tigers' record at Etihad Stadium is losing by 190 points to Geelong.
That's years ago.
2007. Well,
That was with Wallet in charge.
Yeah, we've been all right there under Hardwick.
hang on.
I was going to say you've lost to us by 100 points there as well, haven't you, Fyfe?
He asked for the record, so I just wanted to put the record up there. But having said that, Tigers will win, but not by a lot.
Yeah, agree with Teach there. Just Tigers by 3 or 4 goals.
Yeah, probably the same. Tigers by 4 to 5 goals. Yeah.
The worst part about our team is that Rance is, I think, not playing, and he's the ideal matchup for Cramry. He got injured falling off his push bike, actually. That's probably something I could have mentioned earlier.
I thought Haim ran him over.
It's not what the fuck, he's not a dog.
He does bark, though.
But I think, yeah, we should win by, those 10-goal wins, probably half that. We need to win these kind of games against the teams that are probably still a year or two off.
Well, if you're going to make the finals this year, you need, as you said, you need to win these games. Otherwise, you're just North Melbourne.
Adelaide, Sydney, loser of this game's in real trouble. Season over, I reckon.
I'm going to go the Crows at home. I don't think they're any good, but I don't think Sydney are any good, so that's my reasoning.
I agree with you on both counts there. Crows and Sydney aren't that good.
Sydney, Adelaide is shit, and Sydney are going to break through.
Crows at home for me.
Yeah, just further on that, because it probably does warrant a bit more discussion, but to be one of those teams in 0-3 is, do we call that season over, basically, for them? They've got different aspirations. Sydney were thinking premiership, Adelaide were probably thinking decent finals appearance, but...
Well, it depends on how much they lose by and how they lose.
Adelaide's team has been decimated with injury. I mean, I don't think they were thinking finals this year. I think they were just being... Let's be competitive.
Well, that's why I'm picking Sydney.
Sydney would be hurting.
Well, Sydney would have lost if they lose to GWS, Collingwood and Adelaide, who are hardly considered contenders.
They're pissing all that money away on the Kohler kid for what? To be 0-3.
Whilst Mumford plays well at GWS.
Yeah.
The Q Clash. Well, Brisbane supporters would hope their team puts in an effort, I reckon, on this one, because if they don't come out and win, it could be a long time till they do win
I think
another.
Gold Coast is going to win.
Where's this being played?
Metricon.
Oh, got to go Gold Coast.
That's a fortress. fortress for them, so Gold Coast
There we
probably
go, Gold Coast.
fairly comfortably.
Gold Coast should win.
That
Yeah,
is
I-
actually a good ground to watch the footy from. So anyone goes up there, recommend Metricon.
This is, yeah, as I said, probably the last realistic chance Brisbane have to beat them for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Years.
Years. They are that good, but they're not that good yet. Brisbane could still steal one by being a little bit older, a little bit more experienced.
This is not going to be tidy, especially if it's dry and a little bit hot. The Gold Coast could just rip them to shreds. Brisbane are going to hope that it's damp and humid because that's the only chance that they've
I
got.
don't.
Yeah, low skill game.
Whatever weather conditions are going to pull up, I've got 2 words for you. Gary Ablett.
Yep, agreed. So are we all on the Suns, were we?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're on the Suns.
Yep.
All right. West Coast St Kilda, the clash of the undefeated Giants.
Well, I think West Coast going to win the Plugger 35 Cup. We're going to break
This
the streak.
is going to be a fucking massacre. And
And
St Kilda are just going to dive to the earth faster than you can imagine.
I think Rewald's probably going to be about playing in this till half time, then he's going to give up.
The Boo crowd and the West Coast clique are going to get the umpires to take West Coast well and truly over the line, but still deliver Plugger his moral win.
Plugger is going to be the happiest he's ever been this season.
I think
And they'll lose.
On Saturday night, we're going to have the friendly Plugger that we all love back on Bay 13.
West Coast will probably win by 40, 50 points, but they'll probably win the free kick count by more than that.
West Coast, 12 to 15 goals, I reckon. I'll smash them.
Collingwood Geelong.
On form, you'd say Geelong. Collingwood haven't looked that crash hot, but I don't know. I think Collingwood a bit of a dark horse on this one, but I'm going to tip Geelong.
What's wrong with Dane Swan? Anyone know?
He's got too many tats.
Apart from that, but why was he playing
hits
forward?
cleaners.
Injured?
Oh, sorry, you're talking about football.
Nice.
I don't know.
Must be carrying something.
A bit of weight.
I'll shut up.
I think they're resting him forward for the rotations. They can't run him off the bench as much, so they're putting him forward because they can.
Yeah.
Collingwood won ugly last week on the back of Pendlebury and the Swans being pretty ordinary. So if they get good conditions, I think Geelong will roll them pretty comfortably.
Okay, well, I'll let you all have your say before I opened up. We're going to fucking kick their heads in.
Collingwood haven't lost to Geelong for a while, have they, since the grand final? And I think that might continue.
Yeah, no, it hasn't happened since the grand final, but it's going to fucking happen this week, I tell you. We will smash them.
What happened to Teach thinking Geelong going to finish 12th?
Oh, he's off that. He won't jump off Norf, but he'll jump off that.
How convenient for him.
I actually thought we might be zipping two right now, but I've been very impressed with the way that we've been playing.
You thought you'd lose to Brisbane.
Yeah,
You thought you'd lose to Adelaide at home.
yeah.
Oh, you have no optimism.
Oh, well, you know, I've been through years of fucking suffering.
Years.
Years.
Sorry, I forgot everyone's tip. Were we all on Geelong?
No, I've gone Collingwood.
And obviously Teach went Geelong.
I'm going to say Geelong just. I reckon Collingwood could have a sniff.
I think they'll do all right, but I don't think they'll win. GWS Melbourne. Well, I think football will be the loser.
I think GWS
Gotta go.
should smash them.
It's at Spotless.
They've got to beat them. I mean, Melbourne are just a headless rabble without any direction. So,
Which makes you wonder who Melbourne's going to beat this year.
well,
Essendon.
not GWS this week, that's for sure.
Essendon after infractions, was that penal?
Yeah, something like that. They got a good record against the Bombers.
They do.
Long may it continue.
Yeah, GWS should win.
GWS, yeah, for sure.
North versus Port.
Where's
on
this being
form,
played?
Etihad Stadium.
I don't think it matters. On form, Port Adelaide should massacre North Melbourne.
Roof closed or open.
I mean, I thought North maybe were going to finish top 8. I've completely gone off their bandwagon after seeing them on Sunday. They are shit. Port by how much?
Agreed wholeheartedly with Ant. I thought they were top 4, but having seen them twice now, they look like pretenders
Yeah.
until they show us something otherwise. And Port should do them easy because Port look like a genuine football team.
They look like the top 4 team out of these two.
Yeah,
Teach will be going for North Melbourne, the flag favourites.
yeah. Teach, North.
Right, this is it. Last fucking chance. North. And if they fuck this up, that's it. I'm jumping off the bandwagon and it can drive into the fucking river without me.
And you won't even say anything nice about Mrs. Boomer after this either, will you?
Oh, I don't know. I'll still give her a run, I reckon.
No, it'll be Mrs. Corns from now on, won't it? It'll go.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything about her, Ant. Okay, or we'll
Yeah,
have to get.
oh, yes, the lawyers will come in, mate.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying anything bad. I'm just saying she'll be your new favourite. That's all I'm saying.
No.
Legally, I'm sound with that. Yeah.
Did you get your advice from Strategy or a real lawyer?
Got it from
Well,
Ryan.
Strategy? What do you mean?
I will
It's not
just say
perjury.
to you,
Essendon Carlton.
I think whoever wins this, football is the loser.
There'll be one hell of a barbecue if Carlton lose this because that's 0-3, and I think we can say their season's done at 0-3 after a loss to Essendon, which I think will happen. Not that I want it to.
Yeah, Essendon form should smash them.
Yeah,
Essendon will smash them.
I hate to say it, but Essendon just are a much better team than Carlton.
Won't even need peptides.
Jury's still out with me. I mean, I don't know who won the last time they played each other.
Essendon in Hurd's last game.
Oh, I'll go Essendon again then.
Yeah, so we're all on Essendon, I think. Love to be a lurking liker on the Carlton board. All right, yeah, so that is everything. This was the Flogcast for round 3. Fyfie joined by Penal.
See ya.
Ant.
Watch the showdown.
NetworkNerd.
Good night, guys.
And Teach.
Yeah, watch the show. Oh, that was last week.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye there.
Watch the Q Clash.
Bye there.